Hi, my name is Donna Harry and welcome to the Life Inventory. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. This is my second video, so I'm so grateful to have you here on my channel. Today, I want to talk about, and I'm laughing because it's kind of ridiculous, but I want to make a film about procrastination, and I have been procrastinating all week about making this film. So yes, the irony is not lost on me. All I can say is that I've really been doing the field work. Part of the reason I wanted to make this little video is because I've been a chronic procrastinator my entire life. And in work, I'm incredibly organised. But in my own personal life, everything's always a bit of a mess and always left to the last minute. You know, when it came to school, I would leave my my big assignments, like especially when I was in college or even university, I'd leave all the big assignments till the last minute. I would leave organising my passport or flights to the last minute. Everything is a last minute job with me. I would always leave everything until the pressure is bubbling over and I have no choice but to act in that moment. With that said, I'm curious to learn what kind of procrastinator I am and how I can overcome it. And in my research, I've discovered that there are 6 main sort of archetypes of procrastinator, and there are different ways to overcome these types of avoidant behaviours. So let's get into it. So the simple definition of procrastination is the act of delaying or putting off something you should do that you most likely don't want to do. So number 1 is the worrier. The worrier fears they aren't capable of the task and feel anxiety at the idea of failing. So it often feels better not to even attempt the task. But obviously the logic sort of falls out of this one when they fail simply by not even beginning. So next we have the perfectionist. And they have also a fear of failing, just like the worrier. But their concept of failure is more around not completing the task to perfection. And let's face it, no one's perfect, so they're never going to be happy. Then we have the overdoer. They're generally quite anxious, overcommitting and overextending themselves. They generally then feel a sense of overwhelm and are unable to prioritise the most important things, subsequently missing their deadlines. This can often stem from a sense of unworthiness. So the next 3 all stem from the concept of LFT, which is low frustration tolerance. And the idea is that these people won't be able to cope with the mundane, more boring tasks that are often quite repetitive. And so they delay them, and often the feelings of anger and frustration and boredom can arise. So then we have the defier, and they are avoiding the task because they feel it's probably beneath them or they don't see the point in it. Often these tasks are assigned by someone we work with or a manager, or it could even be a partner. They've asked you to do some really laborious task and you just feel like you can't be bothered, or you don't see the point of it and you don't want to do it. And so you put it off and you delay it and you delay it some more until you're either forced to do it or it causes friction and conflict between you and the person who's asked you to do that task. And then we have the dreamer. Now these types, they often have big grandiose ideas about their life. They've got a big vision, but they don't want to put the work in. Now we probably all know someone like this. Generally they're quite lazy. They feel that these things are sort of beneath them and that they should have people doing the laborious tasks for them. And then we have the crisis maker, and I can definitely identify with this one. And this is someone who puts off the thing that they should be doing until there is such immense pressure and stress on them that they have no other alternative but to perhaps pull an all-nighter or, just drive themselves into oblivion trying to complete the task that they've put off for weeks or months. So now that we all know the types, how can we avoid this kind of behaviour? Well, I also did some research into this to discover 8 tips, 8 main ways in which we can find ways to overcome our procrastination. So first, make a list. One of my favourite mindset, juggernaut, super duper motivator people on the planet, Mel Robbins, she says do a mind dump. And what this means is you literally take a piece of paper and you just write down all the stuff that's going on in your head, all the tasks that you've got to do. You just take them from your head onto paper. And then what you do is you just like circle the 3 key things that really need to get done. And then all the rest you can worry about at another time. It's on the paper now, it won't be forgotten. So you do a mind dump. So number 2, identify the emotion behind the resistance to doing the thing that you should be doing. So once you know what that emotion is, now it could be that you're feeling inadequate, that you're worrying, that you can feel that perfectionism quality coming up, then you can have a gentle conversation with yourself. And I always say, imagine you're having a conversation with a close friend. What would you say to them? So have that conversation with yourself, and that I can guarantee will help you overcome that limiting belief or that, that resistant behaviour. Number 3, we can often feel overwhelmed by a task, especially if it's a big ambition or a big life dream. So it can feel so far away. What I can say is to write that idea down. So, for example, I'd like to learn how to shoot like a cinematographer. That's a huge task. So if I write that down and then chunk it into smaller bits, I can then schedule that first step into getting on that pathway to being able to shoot like a cinematographer. So first step would be to do some research on some courses. So once we've got it in the diary, we can start to work towards our big life goals. Number 4, eliminate distractions. That means these bad boys have got to go. So I suggest turn them off, or you can use, there's a whole host of apps now to limit your screen time. So when you have a pressing task that you really need to get done, so you don't distract yourself in the middle of that task, I suggest you either put your phone in a different room, turn it on to silent, or use these screen time apps that will prevent you from surfing the net or going on Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media you use. You've got to avoid the distractions. Number 5, if you're a perfectionist, the only thing you can do is just get over that. Get over the fact that you're a perfectionist. Nothing you ever do is going to be perfect. And I really am speaking from a place of experience here. I suffer with this desire to be perfect, and I'm just simply not. So how have I overcome this? Just doing it. So I put out my first video just last week, and there's a mistake in it. Which actually only one person I know actually noticed and commented back to me about. And there was the option to fix it, and I actually chose not to, because for me, that's a mark of overcoming my perfectionism and just being a bit humble, cultivating humility and allowing myself to be seen with my flaws. So you've just got to get over it. Simple as. Number 6. Accountability. It's so good to have an accountability partner. Now that I know I'm having this meeting every week, I want to get those things ticked off. So having an accountability partner really helps. Number 7, rewards. It's so nice to reward yourself when you've done something really big, or you've had a little achievement that you can be proud of. And I don't mean like reward yourself with donuts or cakes every time you write an email, but when you've got a big task and you've achieved it, then why not treat yourself to a nice takeaway, or soak in the bath, or a nice spa night at home. While we're in lockdown, we can't go out, but we can certainly find ways to treat ourselves at home and give ourselves some relaxation. And that leads on to number 8, which is scheduling in relaxation. Now, when my business coach told me to schedule time for R&R, there was a lot of cynicism, let's say. I felt like it was a bit of an oxymoron to, schedule relaxation. It didn't really make sense to me. But, I put my judgment aside and I gave it a go. And actually, it really does work. I'm much more mindful about looking after myself in that way now and finding ways to de-stress, ways to disconnect from the stresses of everyday life. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I've got to do anything huge. You know, what I might do is just lay down and listen to some music and maybe put like a nice heated eye mask on, or soak my feet in some Epsom salts with some essential oils, and read a nice book, make myself a lovely cacao. Just anything where I can just unwind, relax, and disconnect from the external world. A little bit of relaxation goes a long way. So now the big question that I have is, what are you procrastinating about? What have you been putting off all these years or all these months or all these weeks? What are your big life goals? You know, what do you dream about doing? So my challenge for you is, you know, chunk it down, make it into small bite-sized pieces. You don't have to have the answer of like how you get to the end goal, you know, but what you can do is just start. Like, well, what would I need to do to start getting there? Like, what would be the first step to achieving that thing that I really want to achieve? And then do that. Put it in your diary and do that. So I really wish you well on overcoming procrastination. I'm really proud of myself for actually getting over my little stump this week and really living and embodying procrastination, so I can speak from a place of authenticity. Hopefully I won't procrastinate as much next week when I work on another film that I hope you'll like too. So see you soon. Lots of love. Bye.